It's 7 o'clock. Welcome to our council meeting. We start with open forum, and we have one person registered tonight, Mr. Stephen Hartley. Mr. Hartley, if you would come up to the microphone, please. Samantha will make sure it's turned on for you. If you could give us your name, address, and you have 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you. Yes, my name's Steve Hartley. I live 119 Tyler Street in Old Aurora. And I wanted to speak just briefly today on the proposed left turn ban at Yonge Street and Wellington. I have sent a couple of emails, which you may have read, on the topic, and I thought it was appropriate I also made a personal appearance. So, anecdotally, I was driving yesterday on Wellington Street. It was 6:15, miserable weather, lots of traffic, but I was between trains, and I got close to the intersection, and we were probably like 30 cars deep on Wellington. It took 3 lights to sort of cycle through the light. And as I went through, I looked to my left, as I always do now, because I'm sort of conscious about traffic flows in the town. And Yonge Street northbound was wide open, as it always is. There were 3 or 4 cars kind of pulling up to the light, maybe 2 or 3 in the distance. And it's interesting. Yonge Street, I think it's kind of a factor of a couple of things, but Yonge Street really functions very well at Wellington during rush hour, and at other times of the day, lunchtime on a Tuesday, Saturday at 2 o'clock, that's when this street really struggles. And I think it's a product of 2 things that's really helping the rush hour. One is the parking restrictions, northbound both in the morning and the afternoon, and the southbound parking restriction in the morning. And the second thing is that Yonge Street by nature isn't really a massive commuter road, during rush hour in Aurora, because you're not really commuting to say southbound, you're not really commuting to Richmond Hill in the morning. You're probably going more east-west and looking to go down the 400 or the 404 to get downtown, to get out to Brampton, wherever you're going. So the street certainly benefits from not having a ton of commuter traffic. Now, in fairness to, York Region and also to the council, obviously one of the big focuses right now is to, work on the bus lanes and make sure the buses are running smoothly. So I imagine at some point when this exercise started, people sort of looked at Yonge Street, the York Region looked at Yonge Street and said, here at Wellington, I haven't got a left turn lane. The traffic at times can be really bad, so let's run some data on this intersection. Maybe they ran data on all the major intersections, I don't know. What probably came back at some level was, we get a lot of left turns and right turns at this intersection, and maybe percentage-wise it runs pretty high. So if you're sitting with an intersection with no left turn lane and you got a lot of left turners, it's kind of a simplifying step to sort of, go the next yard and say, hey, maybe we ban the left turns. It's really going to help traffic flow. I think the only trouble when you sort of let the engineers run the numbers and no one actually goes out to the intersection is that no one's sort of seen the intersection in action. And I would argue strongly that I remember coming to the town meeting, and I think one of the York Region traffic guys said, hey, there's 150, 200 turns an hour. And I apologize, I don't know whether that was one way or both ways, and he made it sound like it was a big number. But to me, it's sort of, and it didn't hit me right away, it took me weeks, but I sort of said, well, wait a minute, 200 doesn't mean anything. If the number could be 500 cars, if there's no congestion, 500 cars, great, they're going around the corner. Wonderful. If the number's 25 and you've got massive congestion, you better figure out, is the left turn being part of that problem? So I look at that intersection, I see in the northbound morning and evening, you wouldn't believe how clear it is. It's unbelievable. And southbound really works in the morning. The final irony here, I think, is to put the one direction you could argue is southbound in the afternoon. You could argue Yonge Street gets really sticky. You don't have the advanced left turn, and there's a lot of traffic. But I think the solution that coming up with doing a left turn ban, all that's going to do is push the traffic 30 feet further down the road. You don't have a parking ban southbound in the afternoon, and what's going to happen is the cars are going to come up the right lane and left lane. The left lane's wide open. The right lane, they're going to run into the white Land Rover that's always sort of parked there every day, and they're going to be stuck. And ironically, you're trying to help the buses. Fundamentally, that's what we're trying to do. It doesn't work for the buses. Right now, the buses, they've got 40 feet to slide over and get their 35-foot bus around that space. But they can do it because invariably someone's stuck trying to turn left at Yonge Street going southbound at Wellington. As soon as you take away that impediment, the buses are going to park. They're going to be stuck parked in the right lane trying to slide over. The traffic's going to be flowing through consistently, and they're going to have to push their way in. What you're actually going to do is push backlog into the intersection. Now the backlog's behind the intersection. If you push the traffic down another 30 feet, cars are going to end up backing into the intersection because the buses are going to try to slide over, the guys are going to be trying to sneak in, and suddenly you're going to have traffic congestion in the intersection. The light will turn red, there'll be 3 cars in the intersection, and then suddenly the east-west won't flow. So I think it's kind of a bit short-sighted to this initiative. I'm kind of running out of time, I apologize, but there's not a lot of, there's just no traffic northbound, either in the morning or the afternoon to justify it, and southbound in the morning works beautifully, and in the afternoon, that strategy isn't going to work anywhere. Anyway, I would really push for, you know, I know no one wants to do an outright parking ban southbound in the afternoon, you know, in rush hour, but if you even were to extend the no parking zone by 3 or 4 more car lengths, I think it might really, at least it's a foot in the water, and you can say, hey, is this helping, is it not helping? And that's, you know, kind of an option. So my closing point would be this as well. I had some
Mr.
feedback
Hartley,
saying...
Could I ask you to wrap it up, please?
Yeah, sorry. So my last bit of feedback was I had some feedback saying, you know, what if we just try it? It's just a test run, right? My concern is 3 of the 4 traffic flow options work brilliantly. If no one looks at it and you in 3 months of testing, you then all wander out to the intersection, you know what you're going to see? It's still going to be working brilliantly. And so people may say, what a great, you know, proposal. Left turn ban's working great. The traffic's already fine. So please take a look and consider my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hartley.
Sorry
Appreciate you coming out. That's okay. We only had one person signed up for Open Forum Council, so we will start the council meeting. It is 8 minutes after 7, Madam Clerk. Councillors' declarations of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof, please. Seeing none, may I please have a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Councillors Thompson and Maracas, any comments or questions? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. May I have a motion to adopt, first of all, the council minutes of November the 8th, 2016? Councillor Kim and Tom, comments or questions on either sets of minutes? All in favor? Councillor Gardner.
Mr. Mayor, the sound is very low on your voice. I'm not sure. Thank you.
Samantha, can you turn up a snort? Very few people ever say that to me, Councillor. I'm sorry, all in favor? Contrary, that's carried, thank you. And a motion for the special council minutes of November the 8th, 2016. Councillors Maracas and Tom, just before we move those, at that closed session meeting, we discussed the potential nominees for the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Canada 150 Community Leaders Program. The community leaders will act as official community voices for events celebrating Canada's 150th anniversary of Confederation and serve as a point of contact for sharing our Canada 150 information throughout the rest of the country. And I'm pleased to announce that Council has nominated Raz and May Kamisa of Omar's Shoes to represent the town, and they were very enthusiastic about that. So we thank them, and we thank those people that nominated them. All in favor of receipt of those minutes, please. Opposed? That is carried. Thank you. Presentations. We have one presentation tonight. Nicole. Nicole's our special event coordinator, or one of our special events coordinators.
Good evening, Mayor Daw and members of council. I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to recognize the town of Aurora's 2016 Platinum Level event sponsors. As I stand here once again, I would like to highlight these partnerships that we've developed with our sponsors, and I also again would like to show you the impact that our events and our event sponsors have had on our community. In 2016, the town of Aurora offered 15 events throughout the year, and every single one was enjoyed by thousands of community members, and all of these events were enhanced through the partnership with our special event sponsors. When you choose Aurora to be your home, your community, your workplace, or the home for your business, you choose it for your family. You choose Aurora for its safe neighborhoods, great schools, and fantastic infrastructure. However, a major attraction and benefit in Aurora is that the town provides many opportunities to continue the traditions you grew up with, such as attending parades and special events. For many years now, families no longer have to leave Aurora to develop a tradition of finding that perfect spot to see Santa Under the Stars parade or to see live music outdoors every week in the summer. Families in Aurora are able to invite their friends to come here to experience those events. Our Platinum sponsors make a significant investment in our community and are an instrumental contributor to the success of the town of Aurora's special events. With the support of our Platinum level event sponsors, our community is able to participate in the town of Aurora's full menu of special events for every season and enjoy time with their friends and family all year round. The connections that our community makes at these events are evident when we stop and look. We can see the smiles on people's faces when they bring their non-perishable food items to donate at an event. We can see the families dressed in at least 6 layers that come down to Town Park for Arctic adventure no matter the weather, just to skate on the beautiful outdoor rink, enjoy the fabulous entertainment in both the bandshell and throughout the park. The enthusiasm is also evident with the children that watch the Canada Day parade with their families and that wait patiently in line for pancakes because they know as soon as they have a full belly, there's a full day of fun ahead. Our event attendees are even so dedicated that our regulars at events like Concerts in the Park will even bring a different group of friends with them each week to enjoy the event with them. The connections within our community are only emphasized by the engagement, activation, and event support that is generously provided by our special event sponsors. Tonight, I would like to recognize the outstanding contribution of our 2016 Platinum level event sponsors for the essential role that they play in the success of our events. I would like to ask Mayor Daw to say a few words on behalf of the town and town council.
Thank you very much, Nicole, and we thank everyone for coming out tonight. Our special events provide the community with a showcase of what the town has to offer, and our town is sincerely appreciative of the phenomenal level of support we receive from our local businesses. Each and every one of our special event sponsors deserves tremendous credit for the invaluable support that they provide by investing in our events. The Town of Aurora special events are treasures that the sponsors can take credit and pride in helping accomplish. The Town of Aurora is proud to work with all our sponsors, and we continue to provide a wide variety of events and experiences for the enjoyment of our residents and visitors alike. And as Nicole said, people now come north to Aurora to see our events. Special thanks to our Platinum level event sponsors for all of your support.
I know they say this every single year, but the Aurora community is extremely fortunate to have Aurora Home Hardware, as they play such a large role in supporting our community, not only by supporting local sports teams and nonprofit groups and hosting fundraisers, but also by enhancing the town of Aurora's special events. Aurora Home Hardware has been a valued sponsor for more than 14 years, and their special event sponsorships have helped make a difference in many of our events this year, including the Easter egg hunt, Concerts in the Park, Movies in the Park, Aurora's Rib Fest, Santa Under the Stars Parade, Family First Night, and tree lighting, and also Aurora's Borealis. Aurora Home Hardware is always looking for opportunities to be a part of the community and make a difference, and we are happy to have them as part of our special events. We look forward to continuing our relationship with them into 2017.
And could I ask Russ from Aurora Home Hardware to come forward and accept this 2016 Platinum Sponsorship Award?
In 2016, State Farm was once again a strong partner with the town of Aurora as a whole. Their Platinum event sponsorship with the town continues to contribute to the countless special memories that families have created and shared at our events. 2016 is State Farm's 3rd year as a Platinum event sponsor with the town of Aurora. In 2016, State Farm was involved in Arctic Adventure, Canada Day, concerts in the park, movies in the park, Colors of Fall, and of course, our annual tree lighting ceremony. At all of the events they sponsor, State Farm does not take a back seat. They take initiative to engage the crowd with activities, surveys, button making, and even an oversized inflatable chair. The town of Aurora is appreciative of the businesses that take an active role within our community, and we are thankful to have been able to work with State Farm this year, and we are looking forward to working with them again as a platinum sponsor in 2017.
And I believe the representatives from State Farm are both here?
Just one.
Just one. Melanie Darker, I bet. Please come down.
And our final platinum event sponsor for 2016 is TD Bank Group. 2016 is the second year that TD has been a platinum event sponsor with the town of Aurora, and we are extremely grateful to have them as a partner. This year, TD was involved as a platinum sponsor at the Aurora Easter Egg Hunt, Canada Day, Movies in the Park, Colors of Fall concert, Santa Under the Stars Parade, tree lighting ceremony, and our upcoming Family First Night. As an addition to their platinum sponsorship, the town of Aurora is very lucky and grateful to have had TD as the presenting sponsor for the 2016 Concert in the Park series. TD has had so much fun at the concerts that they will be joining us again for 2017 as our presenting sponsor for the Concert in the Park series. TD has been the epitome of teamwork and supportive with our Town of Aurora events, as they have always stepped up to the plate. Of course, they also love to be a part of our out-of-the-box ideas, like the TD Premium Concert Experience that is going to continue at Concerts in the Park. The TD Premium Concert Experience once again generated a huge outpouring of non-perishable food items at every single concert in the park, even more than last year, which is amazing. And the Aurora Food Pantry is extremely grateful for this increase in food donations, as well as an increased awareness within the community.
Thanks. Is Joanne here from TD? I'm afraid we have no one from TD Bank, but I would please ask you to join me in a round of applause for TD. They're a big supporter. We really couldn't do without the sponsorship, so we very much appreciate our platinum sponsors. You definitely help make a substantial difference in our community. And I also want to just give a quick shout out to our special event staff. I think they do a tremendous job. They continually go above and beyond the call, so please a round for our special event staff. We're very fortunate in our staff, and I think we get great value for our money, so thank you so much.
Awesome, and thank you, Mayor Daw and members of council, for this opportunity to recognize the Town of Aurora's 2016 Platinum Level event sponsors.
And now, Council, if we may move to public service announcements. Councillor Kim, may I start with you this evening?
No, I have nothing, thank you.
Councillor Tom.
Thank you, Mayor Daw. I just have one this evening. Just another reminder, it's the Queen's York Rangers Army Cadet Corps from Aurora. They're hosting a spaghetti night fundraiser for the Vimy-bound trip that the cadets are going to be going on. So all the proceeds for this spaghetti night is going to be going to send cadets to Vimy Ridge. It's going to be this Saturday, November 26th at the Legion. It's $15 a person. There's tickets at the door, but you can get your tickets, I believe, either tonight or Friday at the Armory as well. And it's going to be a great night. Good big plate of spaghetti, big generous portions, and like I said, it's supporting our cadets going to Vimy for a life-changing trip. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, of course, we've got the Santa Claus Parade on Saturday, and I hope the weather's good. It looks like it's going to be chilly, but we've braved snowstorms and other elements, so I'm sure we're going to have a great time. And we also have the tree lighting on December 7th that's coming up. It'll be here at Town Hall, And we usually have a chorus and some singing, and lots of kids come, and then Mrs. Claus reads some stories in the senior center. It's always a fun event. That's starts at 6:30 here on December 7th. I want to congratulate two businesses, Maunders on their 25th anniversary and Hearst Bakery on their 30th anniversary. And I know Mayor Daw and councillors attended and congratulated them, so I would like to extend congratulations to them. And finally, just a reminder that we have a new winter parking restrictions in effect. The details and information can be found on our social media, as well as our Access Aurora team here, as well as on our town website. So just please make sure your cars are not on the roads during snow events, either overnight or during the day, to allow the plows to clear the roads. And that's all, Mr. Mayor. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Daw. It certainly was a busy weekend. It's unfortunate I couldn't attend any of the events. I had knee surgery on Friday, but I appreciate yourself and all members of council extending congratulations on my behalf at the various events. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I missed all of you at Maunders and the Hearst because I came a bit late, but I think it's an incredible accomplishment to have a business that's 25 and 30 years old. So also congratulations to them.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On Thursday, December the 1st at 7 p.m. Right here in Town Hall, we will be having a roundtable discussion where hopefully many residents and business owners within the town will be getting together to discuss the future of Library Square and looking at moving forward within the next steps and to go from concept to reality. And so I look forward to seeing as many residents as possible show up and business owners so we can have those discussions and hear from them directly on what they feel will help enhance the area and bring that realization to that, I guess I would like to say a dream of what we all like to see within that area. So looking forward to seeing everyone on December 1st.
Councillor Kim.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I almost forgot that this Thursday, as part of my motion for business signs in the town of Aurora to have at least half of it be in one of the two native languages, meaning Canadian languages. The Aurora Chamber of Commerce, the bylaw department, myself, we're having a meeting or an open house so we can have some Q&A and informational sessions. So if anyone's interested, it's this Thursday at 6:30 here at Council Chambers. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. In conjunction with the Santa Claus Parade, there is a traffic road closure on Yonge Street from 3 to 8. So that, I can't remember where it starts, probably St. John Side Road, down to Henderson, or down to Canadian Tire Plaza. So that's in effect from 3 to 8, and there's full details on our website. We are now involved in our 2017 operating budget. We've had a couple of meetings already, and our next meeting is on September the 28th. So certainly, we always appreciate people coming out and giving us some suggestions as to how we can look at things differently. As we've mentioned a couple of times before, we're in the process right now of pruning municipal trees. And again, you can visit our website, and that's going on from November through to January. I have a note here that as of Tuesday, November the 22nd, which is today, our outdoor tennis courts, our pickleball courts, and the skateboard park is closed for the season. I think that's probably self-evident, just based on yesterday, unless we have the brave kids out there. And there is, actually, this should be kind of fun, there's a holiday open house at the Aurora Public Library on Saturday, December the 3rd from 9:30 to 11:15. Hot chocolate, cookies, and holiday fun. And by the way, anybody who gets to spend a Saturday going from Hearst to Maunders to sample treats, it's a pretty good way to spend part of your day. There you go. So you got to keep your eye out for those things. That's the best part of a Saturday for sure. Thank you very much, councillors. We will move on to. Thank you, Councillor April. Sport Aurora had their the Magna 2017 Volunteer Awards event on Sunday where the individual teams volunteer or nominate people from their teams for volunteer awards. It's really quite a great way to recognize people within the groups themselves that help give back. And that follows on the Breakfast of Champions, which was a couple of months ago, where we recognized the various teams themselves that have won things. Councillor Gartner, you had something?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, there was also something else on Saturday that I didn't see you guys at, and it was the holiday open house for, well, what I still call Mary's, but is Caruso's. And I think it may be the only business in town where somebody born in Aurora, the grandchild of somebody from Aurora, is operating a local business. So congratulations to them too.
Thank you, Councillor. Council will move to items requiring separate discussion, please. Councillor Maracas, may I start with you?
1 sub 4.
Councillor Gartner?
1 sub 2.
Councillor Thompson, Councillor Abel.
One sub 7, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Yeah. Councillor Humphries. Councillor Tom. Councillor Kim.
1 sub 5.
1 sub 5. Thank you. We have, Council, we have items 1 sub 2, 1 sub 4, 1 sub 5. Anything else? Yeah, we need to pull item 2.
Mr. Mayor, there's a notice of motion coming back to council, so
It's item 2.
item 2, so I pull that, please. And they are speaking, so maybe we could move that forward at that
Yep.
time. Thank you.
We'll do that. All right, then may I, Councillor Tom?
Just to clarify, because Councillor Abel did pull it, but item 1 sub 7 was deferred last week, so that's why I was asking the same question before, so, okay.
So just to confirm, we have 1 sub 2, 1 sub 4, 1 sub 5, and item 2. May I have a motion, please, to adopt the items not requiring separate discussion? Councillors Gartner and Maracas, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. We'll move to delegations, and we have one delegation this evening, Sandra Manhurst. Sandra? Pardon me, Ms. Manhurst? 2, pardon me. That was the add-on. But you are first, and if you could give us your name and your address, and you have 5 minutes, please.
Okay. Sandra Manners, 23 Peterman Street. Thank you to the mayor and the councillors for allowing me to speak again regarding the high school. First, I'd like to inform you that the residents are aware of the council meeting this evening, but we have not asked them to be present as the board representative is not presenting this evening. I will, however, let them know the outcome of today's council meeting. From our perspective, we'd like to clarify a few issues that continue to come up. I'll try to make this brief as we've spoken to the motion before. In the Aurora dated Saturday, November 3rd, Councillor Thompson cautioned us, commented on a ripple effect, that a high school on Bayview would impact G.W. Williams, and that the residents on one side of town would be complaining like those on the other. Firstly, I think these comments are misguided. Let's not fix the problem for fear of what someone may or may not say. How would anything in town ever get better if this was the approach we took? Secondly, G.W. Williams is already being affected. As quoted from the board school improvement plan, many students from the east side of town are opting for the Catholic secondary school to which they can walk, a factor contributing to G.W. Williams enrollment dropping. The parents and students are exercising their right to choose. There is already a ripple effect from no high school being on Bayview. Everyone seems to want to talk about Williams, so we're going to talk a little bit about Williams tonight. In our opinion, the board hasn't just let the children down on the east side of Aurora, but they've also let down the children in the west at G.W. Williams. In 2007, the school was in need of great repairs. What did the board do? Nothing for 5 or 6 years. It took the school's ventilation system breaking down and the school not having heat before they acted. Williams at this moment is at approximately 55% capacity. Its attendance has dropped significantly each year since 2010. Again, what has the board done? Again, nothing for 4 or 5 years until the enrollment was at critical levels. Then it added an Enrich program and will be adding the IB program. But that will only result in approximately 100 to 150 students, insignificant for their enrollment issues. So what's Williams left with? As quoted from the board, a reduction of programming, a reduction of extracurricular activities, a reduction in specialized teachers and staff. So now not only are we not servicing the kids on the east side, but we aren't even servicing the kids at Williams either. When I emailed the chair and vice chair, our trustee Peter Adam Lachowski, regarding these issues 1 month ago, what did I get? Again, nothing. They didn't email me back until just a few hours before this delegation. The board is being reactive, not proactive in their approach. This is also the case with building a school on Bayview. We've waited almost 10 years for them to solve this issue, and how much longer are the kids in Aurora supposed to wait? I've heard many times that there will be no high school on Bayview because of the space available at Williams. If that's the board's rationale, why are we building elementary schools on the east side of Aurora? Aurora West elementary schools are all under capacity. Aurora Heights, under capacity. Aurora Senior, under. Devons Drive, under. Highview, Lesterview Pearson, and Regency Acres, all under. In some cases, 30 to 35% under capacity. Why aren't we busing the kids from the east to the west to fill up those schools? Because the board recognizes there's value to having kids walk to school. There's value to having kids go to school in the community they live in. Value in the social connections when you go to school with the kids that live on the same block as you do. Not to mention all the other reasons, academic, health and wellness, environmental, we discussed it the last time we were in front of council. The board and the councillors keep putting an east-west divide into this issue. Let me try to make this very clear. We are not divided. Not when it comes to the education of our kids, not when we are talking about programming, extracurricular activities, good teachers, and the health and wellness of our children. We, east and west alike, all want what's best for our children. This issue isn't about the residents, who lives beside what plot of land, building, or park, or how sentimental we feel about a building. This is about our children, both east and west sides. This is about all of us, parents, council, and the board, being accountable to the kids these schools service. This is about what's in their best interests, what's going to give them the best education, the best programming, the best opportunities to participate in extracurricular activities and volunteerism. You say let's not express our dissatisfaction in case we create a ripple. I say forget about that. Let's exchange some ideas and come up with a great solution for Aurora. The board to date hasn't done that. Maybe they need some creative ideas from some passionate people. Passion tends to breed excellence, and we can use a little bit of that here in Aurora. Now, I understand completely that the council does not make a decision as to whether a high school is or isn't built between Bayview and Conover. I do, however, also understand that the town of Aurora has an official plan, that it is one of the primary tools to direct your actions, shape development decisions, and manage growth in the short and long term. It has a subsection on providing appropriate community facilities. Its objectives outline that the town plans for and supports a full range of community services and facilities to meet the needs of its current and future residents, that its facilities are well located, encouraging access by transit, walking, and cycling. It specifically outlines secondary schools, that they are located central to their service areas, that they are free from hazards such as wearway lines, and that they are in areas that optimize pedestrian access. I believe this motion satisfies these conditions and warrants your support. As we have said before, we just want our voices heard. We ask again that you help us do that. With councillor support, it would highlight the urgency and importance to the YRDSB. Please vote yes to supporting the idea of a school between Bayview and Conover. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May I please have a motion to receive and refer? Councillor Humphreys, Councillor Tom. Any questions for Ms. Manners for clarification? I think you said it well. Oh, I'm sorry. You got to be faster. No, don't wait. Councillor Humphreys.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much for speaking tonight. And I just want to say a couple of things. So the last time everyone was here, it was a new discussion, and I really appreciate the input of yourself and your residents, the residents in the area. I received a lot of emails after that saying, why are you trying to divide us? And that's the last thing myself personally wanted to do. You're all very well informed on what happened in the past, and I thought I was just sharing that knowledge. I think I shared that with Councillor Abel and the rest of the councillors. I thought, maybe they were not aware of what happened back in 2006, 2007, so you're aware of that. So absolutely, planning for a school in that area was the major plan. It was the master plan of the school board to do that, and obviously things changed because of what happened in the past. However, that doesn't mean we can't express support that is a good idea. What I'd love to see happen, I know there's a meeting that's going to be coming up soon with the councillors and the board, and I think we'll be able to express ourselves that we've got to come up hopefully with something that will help the residents have that type of service in the area, and I hope to keep Williams as well. And maybe there's something they can do within Williams that can get more participation in that end, and maybe do other things with this in the school for students, but have something in your end. So I'm looking forward to that. I think there's going to be a meeting. We saw the same emails you did probably, and hopefully we'll get some good work coming forward for the residents in your area. But thank you for coming forward. You spoke very clearly, and we hear you. Thank you.
Councillor Abel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Sandra, again, thank you very much. You articulate extremely well and clearly. You said you had received some correspondence from the trustee, and I'm not asking you to share it at this moment, but would you be able to email that? Is it confidential, or would it be, I think it would assist us in knowing what sort of exchange is going on.
Yep, I can pass it to you.
Because we're receiving some as well, so I haven't seen it yet, but I know we are receiving some information. The feeder schools was very interesting in what you were talking about. The basic concept that if your school is built, it would allow people to walk on the east side, and at the same time, everyone would be able to walk on the west side.
Yeah, we had commented that the last time we were at council, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Abel. Councillor Marcus. Councillor Kim.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Sandra, thank you for coming tonight and speaking to us. I just quickly just wanted to make a quick comment and say that I think that tonight you'll see that we will stand up and we will be that voice for our residents as you so much want us to do. And you'll find that we are behind you and we will speak up for you. So thank you again for coming and for all the residents that did show up tonight again.
Thanks.
Councillor Kim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Sandra, for presenting again. You raised some great points, and I just want to reiterate Councilor Maracas' view that we're all united in this. I think it's just in terms of how we got there, it might have been a little bit different, but I think, well, I know we're all on board. I've done a lot of research, and you raised a couple of great points in terms of the existing students at Williams are being underserved. A lot of the programs have been taken away, and a lot of the building conditions are still, I don't think, 100% satisfactory. And as I was looking on the Ministry of Education website, I quoted here, school boards are responsible for providing their students with the best possible educational experience. Their job is to put the needs of students first. And that was in the context of also in terms of financial considerations. Really the students' education and well-being were considered higher than financial implications. So that gave me a lot of encouragement in terms of what we can put on the table when we do have a voice at the board through our trustee and through ourselves. So thank you.
Councillor Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you very much for coming out. I want to echo the comments of council. I don't want to take too much time up, but just you mentioned some numbers for capacity for some of the other schools, and I just thought it was interesting because throughout this whole discussion, we haven't really heard anything about Aurora High. I went to Aurora High as it happens, but do you have any numbers on the capacity at Aurora High?
It's currently over capacity.
It's over capacity. Interesting. Anyways, I just thought I'd ask that because you've done such good work on the other schools. So again, thank you very much for coming out.
Thank you, Councillor. Anyone else? Councillor Gardner.
I don't have a question, but I want to thank you very much, all of you, for coming again. And to me, it absolutely makes sense that you should have a high school.
Councillor Thompson.
Since we're making the rounds, Sandra, I do appreciate you coming in, and I appreciate your comments very much. I do agree with the comments of the other councillors. I think we all support it. It's just a question of the wording that's in front of us and just making sure that, in my perspective, that we're addressing the issue that you brought before us without necessarily creating another one, and I think we will do that tonight.
Thank you very much for coming out. We do appreciate it. All in favor of receipt and refer? Contrary? That's carried. Thank you. We'll be moving this up. Our next delegation is Mr. Klaus Warnberg with respect to item 1 sub 2. 1 sub 12, pardon me, which was passed. But Mr. Warnberg? You do know the routine, sir, but I'll remind you if you could give us your name and you have 5 minutes.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak on this. This is relative to a condo development that was started by Brian Coots, Brian and his brother. And, I want to thank you for including in this agreement the parking for the trails along Yonge Street. We have an opportunity to have parking there is important for people who are using the trail, but most important is that we also include bicycle racks there, not just cars, we're talking about bicycle racks. Anyway, this location off-road but in the natural environment was discussed between Brian Coots and myself way back when he still had control of the lands. And we also discussed the trail routing towards the crawl space, the cattle kraal under the railroad, and that was going to be direct. Brian conceded both of those things in opposition to his consultant who was at the same meeting. So we really had a very community-oriented developer at the time. I understand now the property has been sold. But this parking that you see on the drawing there is on the upper right-hand corner of the more or less rectangular area there. What alarms me is when I look at this plan, I'm looking at phase 2, which is not under consideration right now, but this is the subdivision layout for phase 2. It is smack in front of the cattle kraal that is meant to be an underpass under the railroad. For the trail to be directly leading to the parking spaces, for the people on the west side of the railroad tracks to be able to access transit, this configuration of the subdivision is not satisfactory. In order to get to the parking area, you have to go either 300 meters south or 300 meters north before you can proceed east towards Young Street. That is not what Brian Coots and I discussed, and what I felt would be reflected in future subdivision development. This indicates that it is not going to be respected. So I'm raising an alarm bell because we are supposed to be now an active community, so we're supposed to be supporting walking and cycling efforts across town. If we don't put in these direct channels to get to transit and so on, we are doing a disservice to our population that will be living in this area and especially on the other side of the railroad tracks. We have to provide for these things now while we are putting in the subdivisions. Later on, it won't be possible. So what I'm looking for is a cut through this subdivision, through the middle of the subdivision going east-west, going directly to the cattle kraal. And the other thing I would like to see is that you get behind getting this cattle kraal opened up.
One minute, please, Mr. Wernberg.
And to have the Metrolinx people recognize the Aurora Trails Master Plan provision for grade separated crossing of the railroad tracks in this location. I'd like to put on another drawing. Okay, this drawing shows where the schools are over towards Vassar Street on the west side of the railroad tracks. And for the schools to be accessible by the people who are going to be in this new subdivision, the condo development and so on, which is within the catchment area of the two schools, for them to be able to walk and cycle there, they'll need that underpass.
Okay, Mr. Wernberg, could you wrap it up, please, sir?
Yeah, I will. And on the other side, you see the arrow towards public transit from the western part of the railroad tracks. So I'm asking you, Council, to please get to Metrolinx and get them to accept the fact that they have to abide by the Aurora Trails Master Plan to put the cattle crawl in, and then you follow up through the subdivision that there will be a direct trail off-road from the cattle crawl to Young Street.
Thank you,
so that we have the most acceptable, most inviting situation for our active community.
Thank you, Mr. Wernberg. Can I have a motion?
I can see your attitude towards...
Mr. Wernberg,
please. Okay.
could I have a motion to receive and refer this to staff? The item's already passed. Councilors Abel and Marakis. Any comments or questions for Mr. Wernberg, please? Councilor Abel, Councilor Marakis, Councilor Humphreys.
I'll go first.
Councilor Abel.
Mr. Warrenberg, welcome back. It's always a pleasure when you come here. The cattle crawl, as you call it, it was a supported way of going under for back in the day when the cattle would migrate.
Yeah.
And now it is boarded up.
It is not only boarded up, it has been barred with, but they have been opened, these bars, these iron bars, but an aggregate has been thrown into the cattle crawl. And in future, we're not only going to have that barrier, but you're also going to put in a berm all along this subdivision towards the railroad tracks. That also has to be dealt with.
Okay.
So there's a break in this berm.
And I thank you. You know, almost every time you come about underpasses and paths, I'm really paying attention because you have done so much through our town. And this is the newest, and you bring up very valuable information. It did pass, as the mayor did say, and it's being referred, but myself, I'm in full support of having this seriously looked at, and I think Metrolinx owes it and has it within their constitution moving forward, that this is how they envision moving down in the future. So thank you very much for bringing that to our attention, and I'm going to be one of the council members here that will be very interested in seeing this come back.
Councilor Marakis, Councilor Humphreys, Councilor Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. He's asking me to speak first. Is that okay? Thank you, Mr. Wernberg, for coming tonight. And I'm very interested in making sure that this happens. We're going to hopefully work with staff and understand with staff how we can make this and work with Metrolinx and our staff to make sure that when it comes back that it's clearly there and defined. Because one of the things I learned from you most recently is this is not a luxury, it's a necessity. It's how we want to build our communities, walking, getting there, and the only way we can do that is by creating these pathways. Otherwise, we're not going to have that type of community. Just like the residents are here from the east asking us to build, supporting building schools where they can walk to. And I think this is, active community Aurora. We have to make it happen. It's there. It's a matter of just building it out and making sure it's part of the plan and not, filled with aggregate and hidden behind the berms and everything else. So I'm like Councilor Abel. Hopefully we'll see some really good work here, and I trust staff that this will happen.
We have a 2-kilometer stretch here from Young Street to Baster Street, where there's nothing where you can cross in future.
Thank you, Mr. Wernberg. Councilor Marakis, Councilor Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Klaus. Klaus, thank you for coming. I'm just curious, I know you've come before the Trails Committee numerous times, and we've discussed the other underpasses and a couple of other things about discussing with Metrolinx, and I'm wondering, I don't specifically recall you speaking to this one, and correct me if I'm wrong if you haven't. I think it would be great if you come to the Trails Committee and speak specifically about this one, so we can kind of have that discussion at the committee level and maybe make a recommendation for council. And so I think I would definitely like to see you come before the Trails Committee and discuss this, and we can have a more fulsome discussion about it there. So I look forward to seeing you there.
I also should point out that I have written a fairly lengthy letter to Metrolinx in December of last year, to which I got a response 6 months later, and on which nothing much has happened since, not to my knowledge. But that underpass was mentioned, and the fact that it is part of the Aurora Trails Master Plan, that they should be respecting as a policy document. But from what I'm hearing, isn't much liking for this whole concept at Metrolinks. So we need to put on an extra push, that's all I'm saying.
Thank you, and I appreciate it. And just as a follow-up through you, Mr. Chair, more of a comment, and as we heard with the school, sometimes it just takes us at the table to speak up and say something to another legislative body and say, hey, you know what, we need some changes here, and so you need to pay up, especially when it comes to this, and maybe we can charge them that 6% admin fee.
Councillor Thompson.
Thank you, Klaus, for coming and your continued advocacy for the underpasses. My question was really about whether you've had contact with Metrolinks, and you answered that just previously, but I appreciate it.
There will be more contact as of Thursday. There's a public meeting at the Catholic High School, and there will be a letter to them to ask to report on the progress since May of this year. So I'm not letting go, but I would like to have your support.
Any other speakers for the first time? Councillor Abel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That documentation, Mr. Warrenberg, can you bring that to the committee for the record? Your letter that you sent and the reply, just so it's part of the record at the committee. And I did have that Metrolinks for Thursday. It's tomorrow, at Cardinal Carter.
It is tomorrow, my apologies. Yes, it is tomorrow. I'm going to be there tomorrow.
I'll try and make it. I have a meeting.
Tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, and thank you for correcting me on that. Yes.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor of receipt and refer to staff, please. Contrary? That's carried. Thank you, Mr. Warrenberg. Councillor Abel.
Mr. Mayor, could I move, I'd like to make a motion to move item 2 forward.
Second, please. Councillor Humphries. Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Councillor Abel.
Mayor Daw, I was, of course, I think we're quite taken with
motion, please.
Motion. Well, I understand some of the council members may want just to.
Okay, well, actually, I'm going to go to the clerk, and she'll just procedurally keep us on track. Because we already passed part of it, so what do we need to do right now?
So we have the motion on the screen, actually, that is just receiving the extract that we've included from the last meeting, and then clause 2 and 3 are the clauses from the motion that were deferred to this meeting.
Thank you very much. Councillor Abel, you're moving that?
I'll move that. Thank you,
Mr.
Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Maraca, second. Back to you, Councillor Abel.
I'll put the floor to some of the councillors that have some thoughts, and I'd appreciate that.
Councillor Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor Daw. You know, I think the comments of the residents that we've seen in the emails is valid about concerns expressed about an east-west divide, and same thing with the comments we heard around the table. And so I thought, you know, I'd like to put forward an amendment just to provide perhaps some clarity and might help address some of those concerns. So the amendment would be to the second clause in front of us. It really simply says that the council supports the official plan and, in principle, the construction of a third York Region District School Board in Aurora on the property purchased by the York Region District School Board to serve the needs of the catchment area, and I think perhaps this will help.
Hold on. Can I have a second, please? Councillor Humphries, thank you. Back to you, sir.
Just simply, you know, I think that I think there is agreement around the table, and from the residents have amply demonstrated that, you know, there is a need in the area. There was a concern, and I expressed it last time about whether or not that would have any impact. I think this resolves that quite clearly. It allows us to continue to advocate on behalf of the residents with York Region to try and make some progress on that property without any concerns of there being an impact to anything else. So,
thank you. Councillor Humphries, to the amendment, please.
Yes, to the amendment. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I really appreciate this amendment. Couple things. After that meeting, I did a lot of research in Toronto schools. There's lots of things going on there, school shutdowns, and what I have found is that sometimes when they take a school that's lacking in enrollment, that they take the school and they'll do things like the IB program and make it really an attractive school for individuals to come from outside the area, but also take a part of that school and make it almost like a neighborhood drop-in center for tiny tots. There's several programs government funded from 0 to 4. So can you imagine having these programs run in a portion of that high school? I think it would provide a fantastic service without risking, the loss of perhaps a building in a school that eventually we may need, because look at the growth that's happening in the south end of town now. We're going to have the Coots property, we're going to have the buildings. We are going to start densification in the existing areas, so enrollment will start to change. It's like a phase. It's going to keep going here and there as demographics change, age changes, people leave and new people come in. So, to say that we're, at one time talking about getting rid of one to build another, I love this because it allows us to have the school board, yes, we need a school in the East End, what are we going to do with the others? And maybe there's some creative thought around what the York District School Board can do with Williams to fill it up until it gets to its capacity. Thanks.
Excuse me, Councillor Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'll support the amendment as well. I think that it's very similar to the wording that we had before us previously, but this just makes it pretty clear to both the board and everyone else that we'll be sending it to that we do support both a Bayview school, but as a third school in Aurora for the YRDSB. So I'll support the amendment.
Other speakers to the amendment, please. Councillor Gardner. Councillor Kim.
Thank you. I also support the amendment, and I think it has to be made very clear that as members of council, we support the rights and needs of all of our residents and certainly don't want to pit one area against another. So thank you, Councillor Thompson.
Councillor Tom. Pardon me, Councillor Kim. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I support the amendment. It provides more clarity, and it definitely clarifies that it's not about one region versus another. It's just an addition of another school because there is a capacity need.
Other speakers to the amendment, Councillor Marcus.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I get it. I'm not sure it's needed, but I understand, and I think that, I'll support it if it's going to mean that we can move forward and start collaborating, as Councillor Abel has mentioned, with the school board, and we can start advocating on behalf of our residents to get that high school on the Bayview side. And so, if it means supporting this amendment, sure. I see where Councillor Thompson's coming from and where the rest of the councillors are what they're saying. Didn't really change the motion to me. I think for me it's about looking for that school on the Bayview side, and I agree. I don't think anyone wants to pit the town one side against another. I think we're all looking for the same thing, and as long as we achieve that, then I'll support the amendment.
Thank you. Other speakers to the amendment, please. Councillor Abel.
Well, obviously this was prepared and understood. I was not aware of any of this. I would have a few comments. I don't know, with all the time that all the people that came forward and spoke, have they heard of this possible amendment of a third, how it's been changed? So there has been no collaboration apart from members here. So my comment is, as there should be, as a courtesy, could have been mentioned to Sandra and her. She represents the people like that, and I think the problem I have is that it's a non-starter because the board has made very clear that they will not support.
Question of privilege, Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry, Councillor Abel is insinuating that we all knew about this, and this is the first time I'm seeing this. So I just want to make that clear that I had no idea about this amendment. So I just want to clarify that because, and if you could rule on that,
Councillor Abel,
that's
if you
unfair.
could temper your words, please.
I'll temper it, and I apologize. It looks like it was all written out and it has been prepared. Okay. Well, I'm just saying.
Okay. Can we carry on, please?
My comment is that it's very clear that the school board has said there will not be a third high school. And we're not asking, the motion's not asking for a third high school. The motion is asking for a school to be built on Bayview, and I see a significant difference in that. I think it's very important to realize that. I did some research in the archives. I talked to people that were in 2007 that did not want Williams closed. They rallied, they delegated. But what was important, and I think this is clear, is that the council of the day in 2007 supported the residents. And, you know, not to hear what the residents want is sort of like not listening to your doctor. Let's listen to what they want. They want a school built there. They didn't say they wanted a third one. They didn't want to get involved in that. They just want the school built there. And I think this drastically changes it. If council is saying, build a third school, well, we know they're not building a third school. We don't have the capacity. They've made it very clear that their assessment will not support it. So,
Please, Councillor Humphries.
yes, we do have a role what to do with Williams, and a great example would be childcare, post-secondary, preserving that. That's what's important, is having a plan. But I think putting in that very simply, support the school. It's not a third one. We're not telling them what we think should be done. At any rate, I was saying in 2007, the council of the day heard the residents, and they delegated before the board to support their residents. The mayor went there, the deputy mayor delegated there, and another councillor. All went and delegated with 15 other residents to demand that that school not be closed. And that's because the residents asked them to do that at that time. So it's really not asking for a third school. That's not what the notice of motion was. It was very clear. We have plans here, right here in our official plan, page 41, that say that people should be able to have a school central to the feeder primary schools, just like the other side of town. The well-being of the Ministry of Education is very, very clear, and this is different than in 2007. The Ontario Ministry of Education states that the mental and physical well-being of their students is very important, and they want to collaborate with them. So, very simply, if you build that school on Bayview, everyone in town will be able to walk to school. If you say we want a third one, they're right away going to say no. There will be no consideration. They are very firm in that. So I don't think we should be asking for that. I think we should be supporting what the residents have brought forward, and they've asked simply, build that school as planned. So I think it's really important that we understand that it may be in our mind that we're safeguarding G.W. Williams by putting in a third one, but what you really are doing is supporting the board's position in not allowing a third school to be done, because they've said they won't allow a third school to be built. The only hope we have is that we get involved and find out what to do with that building to save Williams, and no one wants to take Williams down. I wish I had an opportunity to have had a conversation before and to at least discuss it with our residents as well, to see their thoughts on this. It's very difficult for council to make this decision based without any conversation or any research, except that it seems like a good idea that build a third one. So I ask council, please, not to take this amendment and to go back. There is no harm in asking them. It's the same thing that you're asking with the third one, except you're not putting the word third in there. You're just saying we would support the residents' request to build a school on Bayview Avenue. They purchased it and they planned. So I go back to the archives in 2007, and they were very clear that they needed that school there. The school board trustee at the time was Gord Kerr, and Mr. Kerr sent a letter, an open letter, and he explained the demographics. It made perfect sense why there should be one built there. You have 4 primary schools right in that area, and they should build a high school there. They purchased the land. It was in their plan. They had a meeting, and they were announcing it. So the board is in favor of building that school there. And that's what they're asking here for us. So they will continue on. The council has no other role in this. The residents will do their delegation requests at the board, and knowing that knowing that council supports their ask for a school to be built there, is simply what we're being asked to do. And when you put that third region school, this amendment in there, you have changed that ask. The ask is for a third school. So I ask you not to support this.
Councillor Gartner, for the second time on the amendment. Councillor Humphries, Councillor Kim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I was part of that council 2003 to 6. And we fought hard for our residents to keep Williams open. And it's not want, it's want, yes, but it's need. And in your case, it's the same thing. It's want and it's need. And the town was planned with a third school on Bayview. The school board purchased land to provide a third school on Bayview. I think it's appropriate. We're calling this the third school. That was envisioned, and that was to serve your needs. I support the motion.
Councillor Humphries, Councillor Kim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, I don't see this as, the board wanted Bayview. I mean, the school on Bayview. I don't know, Mr. Mayor, is it? Like, I don't want to think the residents were now going against what they want again, because that's what's just happened here, and that is not the case, and that's not why I'm voting for this. It just made it clear that we want a school here, and we want a school, like, in both ends. That's what I see this at, not that oh, I know right away the board's going to say, forget it, nope, walk away. That's not how this is being played, and I don't like this. Sorry, I find this as a game. But anyway, Mr. Mayor, can I ask, is the resident allowed to maybe come back and can council decide? Because I'd like to know how they feel about this, because if you're starting to feel that we're letting you down again,
Councillor,
this
no,
is the
it's-
last thing I want to do.
It's our decision at this point. Councillor Kim.
What, we can't?
No. Councillor Kim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, well then, sorry. Councillor
Councillor.
Humphries.
So,
My
okay, so
apologies.
here's the deal. If we vote for this tonight, it's not that we don't want a school. We do. We're asking for a third school, and we'll fight for it. Because if we don't put that there, we're gonna, you know, if they're gonna come back, it's okay. Then Williams is going down, and we'll put that now. And that, really, I want a third school. I don't think it's fair if we end up taking that out. The board will absolutely happily negotiate, and then what are we going to do with Williams? We're going to have the same thing on this side. It's not fair that we should be having a huge public consultation if this is what we want to do.
Sorry, Councillor Kim, Councillor Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Initially, I was in favor of the amendment because based on what Ms. Manhurst stated earlier, that this is not about one area versus another. It's about accommodating the increase in capacity that's happening in the Bayview corridor. So for that reason, it sounded like this would be a more fitting language in an official motion. But I think because we represent the residents and it's important to get it right, with your permission, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to waive procedural bylaw, get the 2/3 vote necessary to ask Ms. Manhurst what she prefers, and whatever she prefers, I'm willing to go with that.
Need a second? It requires 2/3. So the motion is to waive procedural bylaw and ask the rep to come, or I'm not sure what the title is. The resident, thank you. I heard a different term. All in favor? Contrary? It's carried. Ms. Manhurst.
My comment would be that the way the original wording is what the residents wanted. So for us, how it stood initially is how we wanted it voted on. I don't know if you have questions. I'm happy to answer them. I'm not sure how much information that you want, but from our standpoint, we're looking for the solution that's best to the residents, but we don't want to dictate to the board what exactly it is that we're asking them to do. We feel, as Councillor Abel, that the board will stop discussions on the issue as soon as we tell them it's a third school in Aurora. And I think, unfortunately, I think that's the reality.
Councillor Thompson?
Mayor Daw, I was just trying to simplify it. Obviously, it is leading to more controversy around the table, and it's certainly not reflective of what the residents want. I'm happy to rescind the amendment.
Councillor, who are you? Councillor Marcus?
I was seconded. I did. Yes,
Oh.
Andrew. That's fine.
Okay, well, I didn't. Yeah, Councillor, yeah. This is rather bizarre, but carry on. We are indeed.
Thank you very much. My question is, and perhaps I apologize if you explained this before, but you're representing a group of residents from the east side of Bayview, is that correct?
So the petition that was signed represents about 900 people, and there are signatures from the west and from the east, but the majority of them are from the east, yes.
And if I might, what conversations have you had with anyone in the area that, on the west side of town, that would, students that would be going to Williams from, the Yonge Street area and west of that?
So I'm going to try to answer.
Well, I'm just saying, you've provided what your preference is for us to vote on tonight, and I appreciate that, but I just want to know what input any students or families that send their kids to Williams that are from the west side of town have given you.
So their comments were that they felt that we deserved a high school on the east side, that we should have the opportunities to have our kids walk to school as they had their kids walk to school, that they weren't against that. We've spoken to a few residents, or the group has spoken to a few residents regarding Williams in the sense of other opportunities, and the importance was that they were walking to school. So they weren't even opposed to going to Aurora High versus going to a school on the east side. So we've had several conversations surrounding several of those issues.
Thank you. I just wanted to know because, we're talking about being the voice of the residents, and I want to make sure that we're the voice of all the residents, and I appreciate that you guys coming forward, and I think that you guys have done a great job working with Councillor Abel, but I definitely want to make sure that if people who are sending their kids to Williams from the west side of town that might not have been on your petition or might not have been consulted during this matter, that their voices are heard also.
Good, Councillor Tom. I haven't spoken on the amendment, and I am in favor of the amendment. And the reason I'm in favor of the amendment is that the delegate tonight and the delegates at the previous meeting all indicated that they were looking for a school in their area, whether or not it's a third school, it could or could not be semantics. But I think everyone was pretty clear that they weren't looking for a school in their area at the expense of closing Williams. I believe I heard that more than once, and I also heard it tonight. And my concern with the wording of the original motion as opposed to the amendment is it's implied that if we supported the motion that was on the floor originally, is that it would be the closure of Williams. And whether or not the closure of Williams is a good or a bad thing, I think is not for the purview of this council. Our council is to advocate for the residents wherever they live. And we are at large, so we have all the decisions we have to make, all the decisions we make have to be for the town as a whole. That's our job, not necessarily an easy job, but that's our job. I have no problem supporting a request for a school on the east side. We've all said, this goes back to 2010 when I was banging on doors over in the east side. It makes perfect sense that there's a high school there. And I'm absolutely committed to supporting our residents there. But I'm not absolutely committed to supporting it at the expense of other planning that the board does, whether or not we like it. Again, it's not our purview. I believe it is our response. And the other issue, Mr. Wernberg wants us to delegate or lobby, perhaps, Metrolinx to open up a passage. I agree with that. But that's for us to go to them and say, here's wishes of our residents, here's what we would like to see go forward. And how can we work to that end? So I will absolutely support the amendment. Councillor Thompson, if you wish to withdraw, that is certainly your purview. Councillor Thompson.
The motion's been moved and seconded. It's on the floor. Typically, we don't withdraw it unless we have full support of the members of council. It sounds like some would like to vote on it. I'll leave it, and it can be defeated if that's the decision of council, or it can be accepted. So let's just vote on the amendment.
Councillor Maracas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I stated earlier, I didn't really see the need to make the changes, and quite frankly, I think leaving it, I don't think you're looking at it the same ways. So then you're saying that people are making an assumption that we're okaying the closure of Williams by leaving it the way it originally was, and I don't agree with that statement either. So, the more I think about it, I don't think we need this change in there, and I think that if we go ahead with the original motion the way it was, is we're stating a strong support for that school on Bayview, and if the school board does come back and says, well, you know what, the only way we're going to build that school is if we close Williams, well, then we can deal with that at that time. We don't need to deal with that right now. Right now, what we're trying to say is that we support a school being built on Bayview. And so that's why I said that I don't see the need to make this amendment. I was willing to go forward because I just want to get this done. And I think we need to speak up for our residents. And so let's just get this done. And if that means the best way to speak up for the residents is to leave it the way it originally was, well, then I'm for that. Let's do that. I'll be voting against this now, and let's put it on. And then if something comes back and says they're going to look at closing Williams, let's deal with it at that time. And I'll fight for Williams the same way I'm fighting right now. And, so I'm against the amendment.
Okay, voting on the amendment, please. Everybody's spoken twice. Voting on the amendment, please.
Can we have a recorded vote, please, Mr. Mayor?
Recorded vote on the amendment. Please.
Councillor Abel?
No.
Councillor Humphreys?
No.
Mayor Daw?
Yes.
Councillor Tom?
Yes.
Councillor Thompson?
Yes?
Councillor Gardner?
No.
Councillor Kim?
No.
Councillor Maracas?
No.
The amendment is defeated.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Going back to the main motion, Councillor Thompson, you were speaking before you put the amendment on the floor. Do you have anything else at this time? To the main motion.
The only thing to the main motion is just the follow-up with regards to the school board trustee. I'd still like to see the trustee come in and present to this council, as well as give the residents an opportunity to attend. I think the trouble I have in my conversations with members of the board and the trustee is they keep referring to their 10-year capital plan. They keep saying that they've already submitted their requests for new schools and repairs, and all the way up to 2019, that Aurora is not on the radar. They keep talking about the fact that from a priority perspective, there are other municipalities in York Region that are ahead of Aurora. They cite East Gwillimbury, which, in 10 years' time will have more people than Aurora, but has no high school. They cite Richard Stouffville and others. And so I think there's some really good information and some questions that can come out of this, and it could help facilitate that conversation about how to make that happen, because so far, all of the answers that I've gotten from the school board are just a strict no. And so I think that, although we talked last time about getting him in preparation for this meeting, I'd still like to continue to invite him to come to council, get the residents back out when he does come, be it him or another member of the board, and have these conversations.
Thank you. Councillor Humphreys, Councillor Dell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First thing is, I'm again fine with the motion as is, and I thank the resident for coming out and clarifying what you want as residents. I will say, though, I will fight for Williams if it comes down to that, and for your school. It's not an if or and, it's that we want both, but not to the expense of losing Williams. The other thing I wanted to mention is I think I did see something from the trustee that he's looking for days to get together with us very late tonight. And I would love to do an open house to understand the planning and how the residents can come forward and work with them to see if there's anything we can do to fast track a school, whatever it takes to do something at the East End, above perhaps in the other municipalities. And I think with the residents and ourselves pushing for that, hopefully we'll see a change in that schedule. You know, I think all things are possible if we put ourselves behind it. So looking forward to getting this moving forward.
Councillor Tom.
Thank you, Mayor Daw. I'd just like to echo Councillor Thompson's comments. I strongly would like to advocate for an invitation again to be offered to the trustee or any member of the YRDSB to come to council and to share our plans with both council and the public and to get it out in the open. I think we're all interested in that. So that's number one. And number two, I just want to be very clear considering some of the comments made by Councillor Abel when the amendment was on the floor. I want to be very clear. I support Aurora High School, I support Dr. Williams High School, and I support a third high school in Bayview. That's my position. And so I want to be very clear with the residents. We want to be the voice of the residents, but I want to make sure that Aurora has an Aurora High School, Dr. G.W. Williams High School, and a third high school in Bayview.
Thank you. Councillor Kim, Councillor Abel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just to clarify on the next steps first, so I did get in touch with Peter Adams before he went on vacation. I spoke with him yesterday morning, and I told him to email the CAO's office and the mayor's office and confirm an open house Q&A type of session so that the residents can have all the opportunity and ample opportunity necessary to ask him questions so that we're all on the same wavelength. And he did agree to that, and he emailed all of us back. So I think in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I believe he said a Wednesday night or Thursday night, he's free. So be on the lookout for a communication from the town that we will have that set up here. And I did a lot more research, and I've spoken with the planning department as well, and they gave me a hard wall, and same with the trustee. But we discussed about it's on the ministry's website, the pupil accommodation review, and it just starts out with a couple hundred residents in support of a review, and step one is initial staff report, and that will include enrollment, programming, accommodation issues, and that goes, and then there's a recommendation made to the board. There's about 7 steps, but those are the things that we can do, and I'm confident that we can at least put that forward to Peter Adams. And another misnomer that's going out there is that the Ministry of Education, the province can do something to intervene. I know Councillor Abel has 2 clauses here, clause 2 and 3, in terms of communicating this to our MPP and the ministry, but the district school board is the equivalent to the Ontario Municipal Board. They're an arm's length, independent board, and once a decision has been made, the ministry cannot even change the decision. So the ministry has no impact on what happens here. It's strictly YRDSB. What else? What other notes do I have here? So I would love to do the pupil accommodation review, and we'll talk about that, when Peter Adams is here. And I'm in favor of the motion, and I'll leave it as is. And I guess that's that. Thank you.
Councillor Abel.
Thank you, Mayor Dow. And I appreciate Councillor Kim moving forward, talking to the trustee. I have talked to the trustee before the last meeting, and I talked to him on Saturday. He's actually a very approachable person. So I asked Mr. Adams, I had told him that I had talked to the Ministry of Education, and Councillor Kim is absolutely right. The Ministry of Education does not take sides. It has no involvement, but it did outline as the outline of what the board and what we had to do. And the first thing is to go forward with an application to have a delegation, and that is where our residents are going. And knowing that they can have the support of council is so important, because the board only understands council's position from 2007, and that's why it's great that we're moving forward in this direction. I talked to Mr. Adams, and I said that he explained he wouldn't be here, and I asked him. I said, well, if council, so he understood that the board's position was in 2007, that the council had come forward, the mayor, deputy mayor, and the councillor, and had expressed not to close Williams, and so the school wasn't built. And I said that if we put this motion forward, that would show a change in this council's position, that they do support the idea of building on Bayview. And he understood that and the importance of having that forward. And also the application review. And I asked him if I could say that at council, and he said, yes, I could. So that is what I have understood. I, along with Councillor Kim, have gone to understand the process, and the process is exactly as we both understand it. That application will be made. The residents will then be able to proceed, but then we also have the invitation, and Mr. Adams gave the invitation that he would be available also for an open forum. So that will assist when we go forward with the board. So we are definitely striking in the right direction. So I thank those that are in support.
Councillor Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I would appreciate if the record could be checked. I believe that the council of that day was in support of Williams not being closed, but it was never that we didn't want to have a high school on Bayview. I would like that to be very clear, and that's not what I heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gardner. I believe that was understood by most people.
Okay, thank you.
Any other speakers, please? Seeing none, call the vote, please, Madam Clerk. All in favor of the motion on the
Record a vote.
Record a vote.
Mayor Daw,
Yes?
Councillor Kim,
Yes.
Councillor Maracas,
Yes.
Councillor Abel,
Yes.
Councillor Gardner,
Yes.
Councillor Humphreys,
Yes.
Councillor Tom,
Yeah.
Councillor Thompson.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're finished. Of course, you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. Just saying. Okay, by the councillors, we're still in a meeting here. We're not running away and doing stuff. There's no recess called. You didn't put your hand up. We're talking about schools. We should move forward. Mr. Hartley did stay. We should move forward. Item 1 sub 4, which is if you could move, Councillor Maracas, would you like to move that forward? Councillor, seconding it, Councillor Thompson. All in favor of moving that forward? Contrary? Carried.
I'll move as is.
Thank you. Second. Councillor Kim. Councillor Maracas.
Mr. Chair, I really don't have much to add. We had a pretty fulsome, I think, discussion last week, so I actually just pulled it so we could have a recorded vote. But I just say to the resident that came and spoke that take his comments and I appreciate everything that he's done and he's looked at it. I think we've all been to that intersection. We've all seen what goes on, and this is just it's not the be-all end-all solution. But it could be one thing in combination with many others as far as, do we look at removing parking restriction, to have more parking restrictions along there? Definitely, I think it's something that maybe we need to look at down the road. But I think this is just something, as we said, we're going to try. The region supports it. Their staff thinks it's something worthwhile. It's a worthwhile exercise to get that data. Like I said, I just pulled it just to get that recorded vote, and just say thank you to the resident for coming forward in open forum and speaking to us and letting us know his thoughts.
Other speakers to Councillor Humphreys.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just very quickly, I want to thank the resident again for coming. You made some excellent points, and I've seen your emails, and I appreciate them, and keep them coming. I think to Councilor Marcus's point, we've made so many suggestions and really have done nothing for years and years and years. So I think if it's going to fail, we'll quickly push to pull it. But we're going to give it a try, and then from my perspective, I'd like to give it a try. And then to Councilor Marcus's point, maybe there's other things, some of the ideas you've come up with and suggestions, I think can build on getting something that'll function nicely in the times during rush hour and slower times that I think will make a big difference. So looking forward to just getting this launched, and we can turn it off pretty quickly if it fails miserably. But if it does show some sort of relief, maybe we can just keep going and getting better from there. So I want to thank you again for coming tonight, though. It's good.
Other speakers, please. Councillor Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I believe you said last week, although I wasn't at the meeting, that the region would control this, so they would have to turn it off. So what would be the process for, I mean, we have to lobby the region?
I'm sorry?
If we wanted the pilot to be terminated, would we?
I would probably have Mr. Simonovskis get in touch, I suspect, with either Steve Collins or Brian Titherington. I'm not sure which one at the region who would do that. When the region passed the bylaw, staff was authorized to revoke the measures if they determined that the negative impact was outweighing any potential benefit.
I'm glad to hear that. I have heard from a lot of residents that do not want this pilot project to happen, and I am going to be voting against it to respect those residents' wishes, but I really hope that it works because we really need something to work.
Other speakers? Councillor Thompson.
Just briefly, Mayor Don, I don't know if maybe yourself or Mr. Simonovskis is best to answer this question, but we heard, I think it was yesterday, that Weather Canada is calling for a classic Canadian winter. And so I guess if, we heard that one of the reasons for delaying it to April is obviously it's easier to track and collect the data in better weather. If it's a snowy March and April, would they delay it a little bit longer until the weather clears up? And if so, is that the region's call, or will it start April 1st no matter what the weather looks like?
I don't know. I can find out, but at this point, I do not know the answer to that question. So, I don't know, Mr. Simonovskis, do you have a more intelligent answer than that?
Just a little bit, Mayor. I do know that the issue with December is not so much the weather as the holidays, which skew the traffic pattern. So that's really the issue. So I don't really see a need to defer it further than April, but we definitely can because it's going to be coordinated between us and the region anyway. So.
Any other speakers? Councillor Abel.
Thank you, and I want to thank the delegate. I appreciated his comments. Like a lot of us that travel in Aurora, we get to know certain spots very, very well, and the residents there would know as well as anyone the contributing factors. As I've said before, I'm willing to try a pilot, and I'm hoping it works, and for no other reason, I'm in support of moving forward with this. I like the idea that we're all sort of in favor, that we'll monitor it, and if it's going to be as bad as some have predicted, and it's not just the intersection, it's the spill-out streets, and it's going to be monitored. I'm glad that we have the option to move quicker than the time allotted. So I will support this.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor Kim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to the delegate for presenting. And when you hear the experience of those who travel the intersection on a regular basis, it does hit home in terms of the gravity of the decision that you're making. I think just as many people who are for the no left turn restriction as I've heard just as many for the left turn restriction as for against. We've had this issue for many, many years here in Aurora. And I think the delegate made a great point in that there may be very little difference or just mildly better experience, but and we shouldn't use that as a scorecard to make that permanent. I think after this pilot project, that the data collected has to be significant and it has to be convincing for us to make this a permanent change. But because it's really 50-50 from the emails we got, it's not a convincing 90-10 or 80-20 or 70-30. So because of that, I'm willing to go ahead with the pilot project. And but out of the data, again, if the data is not convincing to keep it this way, I'm willing to go back the way it was, which is having the left turns.
Thank you, Councillor Kim. Councillor Tom.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. I'll be brief. I support this as well. We did talk about it at length at committee last week. And yeah, I mean, I think, we're going to look at some data that's going to be measured both, I think, before and after this pilot project to look at what's currently happening in terms of traffic patterns and infiltration from that intersection. We'll look at the repercussions and impacts of the left turn restrictions, and then we can make a decision based on all that information when this comes back after. So I think this is a good way to get this moving and to start trying to make some real headway on some traffic issues that have been plaguing the town of Aurora for many years now. So thank you very much.
Any speakers? Councillor Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just to be clear, I wasn't basing my comments about feedback on emails. I've spent a lot of time in that area recently, and so these are a lot of comments I've heard verbally and just in passing, but I happen to live in that area of town, so maybe I've been targeted more than some others.
Thank you. I'll be very brief. I don't support it. Upon reflection from our discussions last week and the various conversations I've had. So, Madam Clerk, I believe a recorded vote was called for.
Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
Mayor Daw?
No.
Councillor Gardner?
No.
Councillor Kim?
Yes.
Councillor Tom?
Yes.
Councillor Marakis?
Yes.
Councillor Abel?
Yes.
Councillor Humphreys?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll move to item 1 sub 2, the draft procedure bylaw. Councillor Gardner, you pulled that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Move as is.
Thank you. Second, please, Councillor Humphreys. Councillor Gardner, back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm looking at from GC item 1, sorry, it's the council meeting item 1, page 5. There was a motion last week put forward by Councillor Peary asking for only the Saturday meetings.
No, this is, oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yes, my apologies.
So that motion failed. I wasn't in attendance last week, and I am in favor of the Saturday meetings. I know from the time when I started to be around that the rationale for the Saturday meetings was to make it more convenient for the public. And following on Councillor Marakis' comments last week, budget is one of the most important things that councillors do, and we have councillors here who have full-time jobs, and I believe that we have to do everything we can to ensure that they attend meetings. And I know this year we were lucky, there was only one councillor missing, but last year there were 3 councillors missing at the Monday meeting. So I'm not in favor of what is before us. I'm not quite sure how to proceed with that. Madam Clerk, could we have a vote on number 5?
We can pull them separately. Are you okay with the other 4 clauses, Councillor Gardner?
Yes.
Thank you. We'll pull item 5, or clause 5, pardon me, separately.
Thank you. And the other one is on, it's the calendar, it's on page 106. There is a meeting in April of council that is on Passover, and I don't want to suggest that we should change that meeting date, but should there be something in that agenda, because it is a council agenda, should there be something in that agenda that perhaps I would like to have deferred so I could participate in it. I hope that council would accept that.
Absolutely. Any other speakers to the item, please? Thank you. Councillor Thompson.
Just briefly, I'll just again speak to the fact about the past practice of having budget meetings both during the week, on the evenings, and at Saturdays. It's always been my experience, actually, that the day meeting during the week, the Monday meeting, is the most attended by the public. It certainly was this year, and memory seems to reflect that in years past, we tend to get a few more people out. For whatever reason, I know, we try and get them as much as possible, but for myself, coming into this term, I was well aware of the fact that there would be the occasional day meetings for budget and so forth. And that's the nature of the job, and I accept that for myself. Everybody else has to make their own determination about that, but I like the fact that we have opportunities for people, no matter whether it's weekends are easier for them, during the week's easier for them, or at the evenings week is easier for them. At least one of those options should suit them. And so my preference is to keep it as is.
Thank you. Councillor Abel, Councillor Humphries.
And I echo Councillor Thompson. For councils, we get very busy during budget time along with our other duties, and to break it up and space it out like that suits, I think, accommodates most of us. So I appreciate it being left the way it is. I appreciate also the others that may have some difficulty, but this really gives us a varied and opportunistic time for everyone, including our residents.
Thank you, sir. Councillor Humphries, Councillor Tom.
Mr. Mayor, I'm actually in favor of Councillor Gartner's suggestion, and the reason for that is I absolutely understood what I was getting into in terms of having some weekday meetings. However, if you're in job transitions or in new positions, because this is a part-time role and I do work full-time, last year I started a new job and I could not take, even though I knew way ahead of time, I did not realize at that time I'd be starting a new job in a new company. So I was really disappointed I couldn't be here. For me, as a counselor, I know Saturdays are a lot more, depending on career changes. For me, I know I'll be there on a Saturday versus a Monday. So for me, if it's possible to stick Saturdays and weeknights, fantastic. And I do feel that I know there's a lot of participation on Mondays, but a lot of people work too, and when they want to come in and input on budget, Saturdays or night is, I think, a little easier for them to get to as well. So for me, I'd like to see just Saturdays and evenings.
Councillor Tom, Councillor Maracas.
Thank you, Mayor Don. I'm agreeing with Councillor Humphries, Councillor Gartner. I can appreciate the comments from Councillor Thompson, but what I think we all understood the workload that we took on when we ran for council. At least I did, and Councillor Thompson says that he did. But some businesses are not just 9 to 5, check in, check out. As you know, some businesses get super busy certain times of the year. Sometimes things come up in your business that you can't miss. And what I think unfortunately for myself last year, a scenario in which, you're having to make a choice to attend a very important budget meeting for the town, but you also have your business and your day job to take care of. And it creates really an unfair and unfortunate scenario. And again, I was able to take the time this year, and I'm sure I'll be able to take the time. So this is not just for myself. I think it's moving forward. I think it's just smart. Residents have the ability to email councilors, email the town. They can watch the budget meetings. They're streamed. They have evening meetings that they can come to that are operating. But I do think it's important that we should do everything we can to make sure that every single councillor can make the budget meetings. And to my knowledge, I would imagine that Saturdays work best for everyone. We all have weekend plans as well, but I just think that for most of council, we can all agree, at least I would say, that we can all make Saturday meetings. And so I just think that it makes sense, and certainly we want full participation from the public, but there is a lot of opportunity for public engagement, but certainly the full day council meeting for budget, if you miss it as a councillor, you miss it. There's lots of presentations that go on, and so I just think that Councillor Gardner and Councillor Humphries I agree with. If we can have both capital and operating on 2 Saturdays, I think that provides full participation from council, or at least a better opportunity to get full participation. So I'll be against number 5.
Councillor Marcus.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think I said it last time. For me, I appreciate Councillor Thompson's also his comments about, residents come out and they were engaged on that Monday that we had it, and it probably afforded them an opportunity to come out. But I do agree. I think that there's that opportunity Saturday as well for them to come out. But the one thing that sticks out in my mind is I think the most important people to be here during budget meetings are the 9 of us. We're here to represent the residents, and I think if you ask the residents, would they prefer that they be here or their councillors be here? I'm pretty sure that they would say that they would want their councillors to be here to make those decisions on their behalf, because that's what we're elected to do. And so, my schedule is flexible. I can be here Monday, I can be here Tuesday, I can be here any day of the week, and it works out well for me, but I know that not everyone can do that. And so that if it means that all of us can be here, and that's best to be that both days are Saturday, well then I'll support that, because I want us all to be here to make those decisions.
Any other speakers? Councillor Kim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So last week, I was in favor of number 5, just splitting it up one or the other. I mean, for myself with kids, whether I take a vacation day and come in on Monday or I take Saturday off, it's still family time that I'm going to be sacrificing anyway with the vacation day. So I'm indifferent either way. But Councillor Marcus is correct in that the important thing is we all get here, and Saturdays seem to be the days when we're not working in our regular jobs, and so I'll flip. I don't like flip-flopping, but I will flip, and I'll go for the Saturday.
We're just going around in circles here. Why don't we? Councillor Gardner.
Sorry, we can just vote on it. I just want to say that I've always been opposed to the Monday meetings for the reasons, especially that Councillor Maracas has mentioned. And I didn't like the change to Monday day meetings. I can be here anytime because I don't have a full-time job. But I do think I do think it's just the right thing to do.
We're going to, for clauses 1 through 4, then, may I call the vote, please? All in favor of clauses 1 through 4? 1 through 4.
Yes, I agree.
1 through 3.
Because you'd be approving the meeting
Thank you.
with a Monday meeting.
1 through 3. All in favor of 1 through 3? Contrary? Carried. So calling the vote then on item 4 and 5, which go together. You're correct. All in favor of items 4 and 5? Contrary? That fails. Next. Councillor Tom.
Move a motion that essentially we change the 2 full-day capital and operating budget meetings to be on Saturdays, whatever
Second.
that motion would be.
Councillor Gartner. Just calling the vote then. We've already had the discussion. All in favor of Councillor Tom's amendment? Contrary? It's carried. And, yeah, 4 and 5. Because they're tied together, yeah. Madam, are we okay?
We're good.
Okay, thank you. We're good on the item.
Yes.
Councillor Kim, you pulled item 1 sub 5, proclamation policy.
Thank you. I can't move it as is.
Thank you. Second, please. Councillor Thompson. Speakers, please.
I said I cannot move it.
Oh, I'm,
Sorry.
okay, so someone, sorry, I misunderstood you.
I'll move it as is, although I know that there's an amendment coming.
Councillor Maracas. Second. Councillor Kim.
Yeah, so so we all know there is an amendment coming, which is great.
So could you just put the amendment on the floor so we can discuss it?
Okay, I don't have the actual language. If Madam Clerk would...
Madam Clerk? But Who's moving that? Councillor Kim?
Yeah, I'll move the amendment.
Is there a second? Councillor Gartner? Councillor Kim?
Okay. Last week, in its previous form, I was in support because the proclamations are to recognize activities, honor individuals, and mark important events related to charitable organizations and cultural and community groups. And there was another clause for in terms of exempting religious or faith-based organizations. And given that they do a lot of important work and they serve the community in many charitable capacities, I just felt that we didn't want to exclude faith-based organizations. But it was just a verbiage issue from my consultation with Madam Clerk, and as a result, she put the amendment in, and I'm all for the amendment, which is more inclusive. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kim. Any other speakers to the amendment? In that case, may I call the vote on the amendment, please? All in favor? Contrary? That is carried. May we go back to the main motion as amended? Any further speakers? All in favor of that? Opposed? That is carried as well. Thank you. That finishes items requiring separate discussion. Motions, Councillor Marcus.
I'll move as is.
Second, Councillor Gartner. Councillor Marcus.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think it's pretty straightforward. This Peel region has already instituted this policy. City of Toronto has put forward a motion, and so I just kind of reworded some of what Councillor Norm Kelly put forward and just change it around to speak to specifically to York Region and for Aurora. And so I think it's, I think it makes sense, especially in today's day and age. There's, a lot of people are doing business online, doing transactions, and, you don't know who you're meeting. And so I think to give them a place where you can feel safe and make these transactions, I think it's a good thing to have somewhere where it's safe for our residents to do this, because it's only happening more and more, and so I think it makes sense, and it's to me it's a no-brainer. So there is one thing I hear what goes around the table, but I think maybe there should be an extra clause in there, now that I think about it, that we ask for the other York Region municipalities to support and endorse this as well.
Is that an amendment? That's an amendment.
Yeah, I'll put that, as an amendment.
Councillor Humphries, you had your hand up first on that one. So that's to the amendment, which is we send this to other...
To send it specifically to the other municipalities in York Region for their support and endorsement.
Okay. Speakers to that amendment, just to the amendment, please. Councillor Abel.
I would support the amendment, as I would the notice of motion. I think it's important, if the police are going to be doing it, and they're a regional, that all our municipalities encourage it as well. So on the amendment, I'm supportive.
Other speakers? All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Back to the main motion. Other speakers. I've got Councillor Thompson, then Councillor Abel, Councillor Humphries.
Thank you. I'm supportive of the motion. Just my one quick question is, it asks that the Police Services Board review the possibility. Would the intent then that they would report back to us, or how would we know the outcome of their review?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I would guess, because it's a regional matter, that they would go back to the region and state to the region that this is what we're going to do, and this is the possibility of where we can do it, and then the region would notify each municipality and saying this is where we would go from there. So that because they are a regional body, they're not municipalities, so therefore that's what I would assume, and maybe I shouldn't be assuming, but that's what I would assume would happen.
Well, then I'll look to our regional rep and say, do you think that makes sense?
I'm sorry, I missed part of that.
I was looking to our regional rep, yourself,
That'd be me.
to see if that kind of, I guess, makes sense in terms of how it would proceed.
Well, it would come under the PSB, so that would be their purview, and they would certainly have the discussions with YRP themselves. But I honestly don't know how they would report back, so I will look into that and let council know.
That's fine. I'm still supportive of it. I'd just like to know what the final outcome is.
I had Councillor Abel, Councillor Humphries.
You know, and I thank Councilor Maracas. This is very good for our residents. And my son and my daughter, this is how they do business. And I am stunned sometimes when my son says, oh, I got this, and I ask him, I actually don't want to know, but I should know. So I think this is a really, really good notice of motion. I thank you very much for bringing that forward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And to Councilor Abel, that's exactly what my kids do. And my son was meeting someone here and there, and then something strange was happening, and he left the place. So very thankful that you're bringing this forward, and knowing that the kids and ourselves can utilize this safe space to do business. So thank you.
I'm obviously a complete Luddite. Councilor Maracas.
While I appreciate the kind words, I can't take credit for this because I mean, Peel Region did put this forward, and just following in the footsteps of Peel Region and the City of Toronto. So, you know, I give them full credit and full marks for bringing this to the forefront and allowing me to bring this motion to the town of Aurora.
Other speakers, please. Calling the vote on the motion as amended. All in favor? Contrary? That carries, Madam Clerk. Let's see, Councillor Maracas, now the Councillor Maracas and Councillor Humphrey-Shaw.
I'll move as is.
I'm betting that's seconded by Councillor Humphreys.
Okay.
Who wants to speak to it first?
Do you want me? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'll just be quick. You know, we've been discussing this as far as at the Trails Committee for quite a while, looking at developing a cycling master plan. And so I figured it was time to, with Councillor Humphreys, we were working on it and figured it's time to put this forward and move forward and have the Trails Committee begin to do a lot of work in developing this. We don't feel that there's a need to go anything exterior. We feel that this can be done in-house with the Trails Committee. We have a great committee. I think they'll be excited to move forward in this. And, you know, and we heard, you know, our delegate today, Klaus, talk about bike racks, you know, that need to be in certain places. And that would be part of the strategy. And the thought is not just to create a cycling master plan for the town of Aurora, but we need to look at how we can interconnect with all the other municipalities and with the region's cycling master plan that I know that they developed back in 2008. And so we need to have that connection between all of them. So therefore, if someone wants to go from Georgina, you know, through to Richmond Hill on their bike, they should be able to safely. And so I think that if we put forward that plan and then kind of let it out there and work with the other municipalities, we can create an excellent bike route throughout the region. So I'll let Councillor Humphreys continue on and speak to it.
And thank you. Through Mr. Mayor, Councillor Marcus said it all, but the Trails Committee would a sneak peek on last week's meeting, and they were really excited about it. And it just adds to one of the things that the Active Trails and Transportation Committee would